Hi guys. I am super under the weather, but wanted to come in and get this recorded for you all. My suggestion is going to be that for the most part, just study these slides and read those areas in your book. I will go through these slides here and address extra things, but still know the material from your slides. So we'll go through this pretty quickly though. So your early adulthood, 20 to 40 years of age, the different things they mentioned yesterday about able to vote, they go to college, start having kids. Developmental task. Erickson is going to be the only theorist you're going to see on your test. So make sure for these different age groups that you know what the developmental tasks are for each one of those, okay? So Erickson for this one is intimacy versus isolation. Again, it's been mentioned many times about intimacy does not talk just about sexual behavior, that it's the kind of connections that you're making with other people. Something that is a process that starts in adolescence and goes to adulthood. So physiological changes, everything's at its peak at this time, usually during the 20 to 30. And then yesterday I know it said that 35 is when people start to go the other direction, like you've reached the peak and you're heading back down. So it's a good time during the early adulthood to safeguard your health. Activity, you're not really going to see a whole lot about that. Remember, though, the major cause of death in young adulthood is related to accidents and violence. And that a lot of that is because of risky behaviors and accidents, and things that could have been prevented. Women's health, a lot of women have their children between the ages of 20 and 40. So we're going to be doing a lot with women during these times. Women also start, they have their pap smears every year. Mammograms you typically start at 40, unless there's been some kind of issues or there's some kind of family history. Pregnancy, like I talked about yesterday. Remember, we talked about miscarriage and women that go through that and how we need to be sensitive to how these women may feel. Remember, we also talked about the hysterectomy, if a woman had to have a hysterectomy at this age, if she did or didn't have children, and being sensitive to the needs and their emotional status during those times. Stress, coping, and domestic violence. Remember the cycle of violence. That was the every 9 seconds violent behavior is against women is a pretty scary statistic, really. And that, these women may not be willing to reach out and get help. And this is not something that we report. We do not report domestic violence. Even if a woman tells us, if she says she doesn't want anybody to know, then we're not allowed to report that, which is different with child and elder abuse, which we do report. Men's health, higher risk for injury, as we said. This next part, seek health care guidance less frequently, which is very true. However, if there is any kind of men's health issues, like some kind of testicular issue or anything else, they typically see a urologist for that. Psychosocial schools, they helped prepare the adolescent for young adulthood. There are many developmental tasks and challenges during this time. You will see a lot of younger people are in their 20s that are still finding their way, and they suffer sometimes with depression and other things. And then intimacy. Oh, I've got to go to the next slide. Here we go. All right. Marriage. Is that all right? No. Psychosocial development. Parenting, family, college. A lot of people go to college during that time. Multiple development tasks, the difference between right and wrong, successful separation of family. I think everybody knows somebody who did not complete that stage. Again, we've already talked about this. Cognitive ability. This is more Piaget and Levinson and all that. I'm not going to ask you anything about that. moral reasoning, Kohlberg, that's, I'm not going to ask you about that. However, you may see something about the life experiences. Remember how we talked about the milieu yesterday? Remembering that we need to be very sensitive and open to others and how they feel and what their beliefs are, and knowing that not everything we say or do is right. Being able to admit that when we're wrong, and how our actions and others' actions affect everything around us. Sexuality. So this is not something that I'm probably going to ask you about, other than maybe possibly the the delayed relationship with parents did not produce a healthy, secure attachment for the parent-child bonding. And remember, we said that would be Erikson's trust versus mistrust that wasn't solidified during infancy. Marriage does typically happen during this age range. Interesting to me that people select partners who are similar to themselves, but that does actually sort of make sense, because even though they say opposites attract, that would kind of go out the door there with the value comparison if it was a complete opposite. So I think that actually would make sense. Not all adults achieve or desire marriage. So, when we're talking with patients, being careful saying things like, oh, when are you going to have kids? Or when are you going to get married? I've talked to many single people or people without children who actually really do not like that. So that we don't do that. And then teaching techniques, we're teaching them how to focus on their work, home, school task, yet maintaining a balance. Middle adulthood, ages between 40 and 60. Behavior is influenced by genetics and environment, and by this time, typically your roots are established in the areas that you're going to be in, whether that be in churches or their careers, people, family, friends, things that they do. Your developmental task is generativity versus stagnation for Erikson's in this, so you're going to want to know that. Developmental task. Identity accommodation, changing the concept of one's identity to fit reality rather than what was dreamed, which is really important because everybody has a vision and then they may not end up there. Just to be all right with what comes your way, and being in each day is okay with whatever has happened for your life. Challenges, adjusting to relationships, different people that we have to interact with, continuing education. Many of you may be experiencing that, an interruption of your education by marriage or having children. The adult that's 40 to 60 may need more time to learn and have more perseverance and patience than somebody that's between 20 and 40 years of age. Stressors like divorce, unplanned pregnancy, separation, the empty nest syndrome, when the children start to leave the home, feelings of isolation, midlife crisis, that you're going to see some major changes in this person that has a midlife crisis. So the man who typically is going to church and always there when being with his family now is out having an affair and drinking and using drugs. So anyway, that's really all that you may need to know on that. The sandwich generation, you're definitely going to want to know. These, again, are the people that are stuck in the middle between the 40 and 60-year-olds, and they're taking care of both children and adult parents. And that's a major, major stressor on them. I've watched that happen multiple times with different family members I've had. And with the sandwich generation, we want to try to help them or teach them how to function and give themselves a break, looking at different kind of respites for themselves. Chapter 13, late adulthood, 65 to 74 years of age. Health concerns, like we kind of said yesterday, risk for falls and fractures, development of cataracts, increased loss of hearing. When you're looking at these, try to think of what kind of preventions we would use on them between preventive or primary, secondary, and tertiary health promotion. We want to reduce the number of hip fractures, prevent illness, According to Healthy People 2020, the goal is to increase certified specialists to care for the elderly, because they need more specialists that go into that age group. So we talked about this yesterday. By 2050, it's estimated there will be over 86 million 65 years or older. So if you're 30 right now, this is you. And if you're 20 to 30 right now, that's you right behind them. So by that year, that will be a lot of us. Incomes, so like the group delivered yesterday, many are still employed. A lot of people can't either afford to retire, or they don't want to be isolated. So, and then the other ways that they receive monies is listed there as well. 475,000 grandparents are the primary caregiver. Challenges on this, the falling, the altered nutritional, polypharmacy, they're taking a lot of different medications, and if they're starting to have some kind of cognitive issues, these elderly people can take too much medication. So teaching and helping them organize that is part of our goals. Don't worry about that or that. Just know that your Erickson stage is on here. And then remember grandparents, we talked about this yesterday, how important this is for many of them, because if not, they have the risk for isolation. And remember again that, them isolating or withdrawing is not a normal part of aging, that they don't actually want to do that. So I have no idea how much time I have left on this. Oh, no. So actually go through these last slides. I'm going to upload all of this stuff. They did a really nice job of putting a lot of information on here. So make sure that you know these different things, more so with the menopause, the different symptoms that the patient might be having. The driving, about the driving, it causes feelings, depression, loneliness, and isolation if their license is taken away. But, and all that's caused because the independence is now gone. And that's a very hard thing to accept. If we think of right now, we can just jump in the car anytime we want, but in 30 to 40 years, we may not be able to do that if they take your license away. So that's a real issue, because all of our patients 65 and older were once 20 and 30 years old. Health screenings, again, just be checking for all of these different things, read these slides and know this information. Memory loss, we just touched on. And the polypharmacy, and then patients that start noticing their memory loss start to really worry about Alzheimer's. Depression, this is not an automatic expectation in there, but we do see a lot of depression in our elderly population. Support groups is a good thing to know about for the patients that are experiencing any kind of depression or mental impairment due to their aging process. If they do have something else, it's good for us to be able to refer them and know what's out there and available. Physical activity, again, yeah, you do want to encourage this with our patients that are over 65. Help keeps them strong, and they're able to continue doing many things on their own, especially if they've been doing that throughout their life. And then teaching, I like these teaching tips that they put on here, especially the wear lipstick while talking, because they are watching your lips, especially if they've got some kind of hearing impairment. And then finally, go through the questions that this group did. I know they want you to hear their sounds, so we'll go through that. Make sure you read all these questions that they developed, and then the different answers that could possibly be there. You may be seeing these again, not word for word, but similar. So go through all of these questions, know them, know the answers here, and hopefully we'll be able to get through all of this. If you have any questions at all, you can send me an email. And then this one right here, I was reading the interventions that could be devised to decrease stress in both children and parents during a family sandwich situation. And that's regarding your sandwich generation. So that's your 40 to 60-year-olds and that both have the parents and the children. All right, I just made it under 15 minutes. So have a good weekend and holiday, guys.